version. But I don't think so. Oh, okay. Just watched Nobody for the first time last night. Oh, it's a fucking dope movie. Which makes sense with the kitty bracelet. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Yup. So, oh, okay. Uh, well, I'm not in the studio. I'm in the half of my living room. There's just a green screen hanging from my ceiling. So that's what that is. Um, and I mean, we just met at the New Year's Eve party and kind of kicked it off. And I just glad you're having me on here. It's been fun getting to learn all this stuff. It's been fun sharing music with you. There's not very many people that have a wider range of music like we do, but then sharing stuff back and forth. So it's been a good time. So I appreciate you having me here. Oh yes, my wife is one of the co-hosts of Squawking Dead that covers everything Walking Dead, like everything. So yeah, you can check them out on like all social media platforms. They got a charity Jackbox thing coming up in I don't know how many days. There's a countdown on their Instagram, but it's to help out one of the fans who's in a rut right now, money wise. So you can join in and donate and play Jackbox games with them. They get pretty silly. My wife drinks a whole bottle of wine and gets pretty lit. So yeah, check that out and help out. Well, I'm glad I get to be here first. Well, that's cool. So it just sounds like I've just been talking to myself the whole time.
Yeah, it'll help us. Okay, so I know that we have audio now because I can hear it in the living room. Does it sound good though? Because I had to switch it to, for some reason, to actually. Okay, let's see if it goes back out. Okay, so can you still hear me now that I changed it back to the other microphone? Oh my god, that's so weird. Okay, so I got it. I just changed it to a different microphone and then changed it back. And now it's fine.
Turn it off, turn it back on again. Is that usually how it works?
That's how it works. We'll just edit all of that out. Nobody will ever know that happened. We'll fix it in post. Okay, now that now that we have all that worked out, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Eric, where did you first hear of the Weekend?
It was kind of a random find on the internet. At the time, the location I worked at, we were super slow. I had to go outside and hold the sign to bring in business. So I just threw that on my iPod to tell you how back far that is, and rocked the Beauty Behind the Madness album. And then from there on, I was a fan. I probably listened to that album like 100 times standing out there at work.
See, I actually have a really cool story. So it was probably 2011, 2010. I was managing I see that chat. I turned his audio. Wait, I just turned his audio up. So we'll see in a minute if that helped. Um, I was in the basement of legendary Saginaw music producer Mike Pruitt, and we had just gotten done kind of working on some different things. A rapper that I worked with named DJ, who's actually still like people know him around town still, and this was years ago. He had just finished like a couple features for a couple different songs for people Mike had been working with, and afterwards there was this whole thing of like, so what have you been listening to? What have you been listening to? And it was all of us just kind of throwing around things that we hoped each other hadn't heard yet. And one of my favorite things was it was the first night I'd ever heard Kendrick Lamar. And
Which song?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's before even like High Power. Actually, I think it was on High Power. Um yeah, I know. My girlfriend used to go to Pitchfork and stuff and take pictures of people, and like anytime I'm like she'll get in the car and I'll be like listening to Schoolboy Q or something, and she'll be like, I saw him in concert. It's like, you don't even like him. And then that's the same night, the first time I ever heard ASAP Rocky. So I believe the two songs that got played that night were like the demo version of Goldie and Purple Haze.
Oh, okay.
Who else got played? Because there was a lot of Odd Future, because it was before Odd Future was a big thing at all. Before Frank, before like Tyler had his own thing going. It was like the group album that came out. And that was the first time I'd ever heard Odd Future. And then a friend of mine named Josh Allen had put on this live performance of this guy who couldn't even, like, he looked like scared to look at the audience. He kind of was turned sideways. But the song was so crazy, and it was Wicked Game.
Mm-hmm.
It was The Weeknd doing Wicked Game, and I don't know what it was. I just, like, I need to hear all of this. So I went straight home and I went straight home and downloaded only the first two of the trilogy albums were out at the time. It would have been House of Balloons and Thursday. Okay. And I listened to them straight for like 3 months.
Sick. Yeah, I didn't really know about that older stuff until you made that playlist. And I was like, oh, hey, okay. And then I kind of got hooked on that Dirty Diana remake. So.
Yeah. That's a really cool one. And he actually did that kind of in response to the criticism that he was just a lot like Michael Jordan. For some reason, if you resemble somebody, you always get compared to that person. Yeah. So, and his voice in practice kind of sounds like Mike. So what he did was he was like, all right, well, I'll cover a Michael Jackson song, but I'll make it very much my own. And it's the same song, but it's super different, and it's really cool how he made it his own. Now that you brought that up, it's really cool you brought that up. Tell me what you noticed, because we made a playlist that was all...
No, you made a hell of a playlist. I just went through it.
It was a playlist that I made for the show that was... it was literally every... like significant song in the Weeknd's career, and then the songs that either he said had influenced or a sample was used for it right after it. What ones did you really notice? What ones really caught your eye more than another one?
I mean, a lot of them caught my eye just going through it in general. One thing for sure was the Happy House thing. The opening for it, because my first thought was, oh shit, that's mindless self-indulgence, because it's the same thing. And I was just waiting for all of a sudden the bitches line to come through, and then I'm like, oh dang. And so then when I had never listened to that House of Balloons track before, right? So then when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But yeah, a lot of it, like I said, a lot of the stuff that you threw on there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And it was really sweet, like just going through and hearing the comparisons. The songs that he like got inspiration from still sound the same, like the flow and how everything goes. You could tell it still runs the same, but the samples and stuff too. I was just like, at one night we were sitting here, I just was going through showing Rachel. I'm like, look at it, and he was showing me this. I was going through the playlist on the Xbox, like showing him, like, isn't this crazy? And so then I had to play the Dirty Diana thing because she's like super huge Michael Jackson.
Me too.
And I was like, you might hate this because I say that about any cover that's Michael Jackson that I play for, but she said the grittiness and stuff was pretty cool. She's like, I can see it, because of his voice, but like I said, well, you said too, like he sounds, just like him. So,
and that was
a lot of this was good stuff.
That was addressed really early on. Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. Tara, the regular co-host of the show, just brought up in chat that the cover or the sample that he actually used on that House of Balloons track that you brought up is Happy House by Susie and the Banshees. Now, I knew about that song at a really young age. So like House of Balloons, Glass Table is not only the opening track, but kind of the lead track. Yeah, it's the title track, but it's one of my favorites off that album. I had known about Susie and the Banshees' Happy House since I was a little kid. My mom was a big Susie and the Banshees fan, and it had never clicked that they were the same, that it was a sample until last year we were watching the Super Bowl, and he did the halftime show. Which, that was amazing. I wish I'd have been able to have this show set up then, because I wanted to do just a breakdown of that whole performance. Yeah. But it's playing, and Tara had never heard House of Balloons before. And she turned and looked at me, and like her eyes were big and wide. She was like, that's Susie and the Banshees. And and it really caught me off guard, because I know that song, and I don't know why it had never come up in my head. There were a couple really cool tracks to find out about just in my research. Sorry if I'm looking over here. It's where I have the
oh, you're good.
There's a couple tracks by the band Beach House, but also like the Cocteau Twins, Cherry Colored Funk by the Cocteau Twins, and Drugs in My Body by Thieves Like Us. One of the things that he really likes to sample is this like dream pop. It all has this very ethereal, like, not real feeling to it.
Yeah.
And it really does translate over into his music almost perfectly.
I mean, he's always, when I was looking at his past, he started like smoking weed and doing stuff at like age 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it makes sense, which blows my mind because that's the same age as my son. I couldn't even see it. Imagine walking in the house and just seeing my kid just sitting on the couch smoking a joint and be like, what the hell? But yeah. But so I can see why all of his music really has, some of it has that super trippy stuff, especially the older stuff.
Right. And then you also find out that he grew up bilingual because he spoke French and English. He lived in a split portion of Canada, which is one of the things that I wanted to bring up because over the summer we were at Third Man Records, which is the record company owned by Jack White in Detroit. And there's this record playing, and in any record store you go in, there's the record that's sitting upright and it's on a little plate that says now playing. And I realized that I had been walking around the store like jamming to this 1960s pop record this whole time, and I never realized that it was in French. So I was like, I run over to the now playing, and it's this singer, France Gall. And the first thing I did when we got in the car was I turned on her music and I just let some of it play through just to make sure that it wasn't just that one record. Now, when I was making the playlist and I found that the song Montreal has a interpolation from France Gall's song Laissez tomber la forêt,
I pulled that off well, by the way.
Huh?
I said you pulled that off well.
I actually do speak a small amount of French, but it's not fantastic.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That particular song, and then I looked into that song. Dude, I'm about to blow your mind. When we get done here, I want you to listen to that song by France Gall. It's the one after Montreal on the playlist. Mm-hmm. And then listen to Dragula. Because Rob Zombie interpolated a 1960s French pop star for the melody for Dragula.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. But once you get a little bit farther, you get past the trilogy albums, you run into him getting more and more involved in like contemporary foreign music, mostly French. I put on actually one of my favorite Weeknd songs is the one he did with Kavinsky. It's called Odd Look. Mm-hmm. And I adore that song. I've been a big Kavinsky fan because I like this style of music called retrowave, and it's an electronic style of music, but it's all designed to sound like 80s video game movie score music. And
yeah, they have like playlists like that on Spotify that I'll just throw on in the background when I'm like cooking and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, they're dope.
And then he actually works a lot with a French electronic artist named Geseffelstein, who actually is also a longtime contributor on Kanye West albums.
Okay.
We get past which actually you see more French music in Kissland. There's actually a song that's in French but it's Georgian is used as that voice in the back of the song often. There's like like a little voice in the back. It is a French song, but it's from Georgia, like the country Georgia.
Oh, not the state. Okay.
Right. I had to get into
what?
I had to get it. I had to do some serious research to find out because I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the artist, but I was like, it's in French, but it's obviously not from France. It seems like from the Middle East or the Emirates or something, and it's from Georgia. So he really did reach out to all these different places over the course of his career to find some of these inspirations. As far as like one of the things I didn't expect the most is the only song with a sample on it on After Hours has an interpolation of Elton John's Your Song. And
Yeah, that was weird.
And I didn't expect that. And then I remember that the reason I should have remembered that is because Elton John, right as soon as we found out that Blinding Lights and the album in general weren't going to be nominated for Grammys, which, ugly snub,
yeah.
Elton John came out and said that Blinding Lights was one of his favorite pop songs in all of music history.
Oh, dang.
Which, that's Elton John. That's like a...
Right?
That is the pop singer of all time. And then... So now we've reached Dawn FM. We kind of, like, hopped our way through his inspirations through his career. Recently, he put...
Oh, hold on. There was one story I did want to... I made a note in there.
Okay.
About the breakup album.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
The My Dear Melancholy. The album that came after him and Selena broke up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a funny, not funny story about that. So I was going on a bike ride around Essexville, and I went over to the park over here and took a break, hopped off, and was sitting on a bench there. And usually when I go on a bike ride, I'll have like a Bluetooth speaker in my headphones. This time I had just a Bluetooth speaker in my backpack. Well, I'm sitting there and kind of half hearing a conversation between he's got to be like a senior in high school, and I'm assuming a quite long time girlfriend. And she's basically breaking up with him because she's about to go to college, because it was towards the end of the summer, like saying like, this isn't going to work. And she just kind of hops on her bike and takes off. And this kid's just sitting on the swing set with his head down and just whatever. So I looked, and I literally went and threw on that Call Out My Name song and just turned my speaker up. And he kind of looked over to the side of me and then just kind of nodded his head and then just sat there and just kept swinging. And I'm like, I got you, bro. I got you. And I just sat there and let the song play, whatever, and just sat there and let the whole album play. He got up like shortly after the song, maybe halfway through. But yeah, I was like, I got you. Like, it just kind of clicked. He knew what was going on and just got on his bike and took off. So I hope he's okay now. But yeah, like I said, it was a funny, not funny story, because I saw this kid's heart get broken. But I'm like, I got you, man. You're good.
It's the moments you wish, like, you could be recording from the outside, because it would have made such a good like TikTok or a Vine or something to get just watch this girl ride off and then that song just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, the My Dear Melancholy, it wasn't even really like, I believe it's only 6 songs.
Yeah, it was only like an EP.
Yeah, and it felt like that one had the most emotion in it since, because Starboy had a lot of like party tracks, club tracks, a lot of radio friendly stuff on it. Beauty and the Madness, you could tell, was more experimental. I don't feel like I'd heard anything that actually emotional since some tracks on Kissland. So 6 years before.
That's why I call it the breakup album.
Yeah. Now, did you know about this album before it came out? Dawn FM?
No, I did not. It showed up on my thing on Spotify, because I use Spotify on my phone all the time. They're like, new album by The Weeknd. I'm like, what? Yeah, did not know anything about it.
I did the exact same thing. Because I'm a huge fan. I've shown so many people like older songs. My favorite Weeknd song is actually The Morning. The Morning, I do kind of like Birds Number One, but that's kind of jamming in the car by yourself. But like The Morning, you can almost play for anybody, and as long as they're not paying too much attention to the lyrics, they won't get offended. They won't get offended, and B will like, you'll see them like ride that vibe until they start listening to the lyrics. They'll be like, oh, this.
Most people nowadays don't really pay attention to the lyrics anyway. Right. They're just listening to the beat and like whatever. So that's why they can say the most ridiculous shit.
It is a stripper appreciation song. But there's also songs like, a lot of people at this point, unless you're probably around my age, you're my age, you've forgotten about the Or Nah remix, where he dropped one of the nastiest, freakiest verses
Oh
on
yeah,
any song ever.
The Wiz Khalifa with Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah,
yeah,
and like
yeah,
he'll come out and make something like that, and in the same year he'll make something like My Dear Melancholy, and you really wonder where this guy's coming from musically, and I don't think it matters at any given moment. Like, he just can.
yeah. Whatever he's feeling at the time.
Which brings us, like, that brings up the question of Dawn FM. Like, what was he feeling when he came up with the concept for this? Because it's not sad. It's not sad in any way. Even the songs that have, like, the sadder lyrical content are upbeat, happy songs.
Yeah.
We in our research found out, like, I'm sure everybody by now has looked up that Jim Carrey is the radio announcer. But the reason
was awesome to find out.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's even that they're neighbors.
Right. The reason is
be like, "Hey, do you want to be on this real quick for me, bud?"
Yeah. It was like Wilson on Home Improvement. He kind of just, like, looked over the fence and was like, "Hey, what are you doing next weekend?"
Yeah.
And then, like, there's right into the song Gasoline, which is actually probably one of my favorite songs on the whole album, and it's the lead song.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably one of my favorites.
Probably
the favorite.
Yeah. He starts with this voice that's definitely not one he's ever used in another song that I've heard. And
they labeled it as British, but I'm not too sure.
I actually did too, because the two did you listen to the two songs I put after it in the playlist? Would have been Joy Division's She's Lost Control and Dark Entries by Bauhaus.
The Joy Division's one I did, yeah.
That's the one, like, as soon as I heard him doing this voice in the beginning of Gasoline, I was like, that sounds like Ian Curtis from Joy Division.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the cadence and the tempo he's using, especially because Joy Division, eventually, Ian Curtis passed away tragically at a super young age, and they went on to make the 80s dance band New Order, and so a lot of, like, the dance tracks that people know from the 80s that they can't quite put a finger to what the band was, it's probably New Order. Yeah. So that but Ian Curtis had that very not rumbling, but it was almost like a rolling lyrical style. Like, he was singing in cursive. And
hell, I won't be able to read any of his lyrics.
But that's what that voice, and it intrigued me right off the bat, because I was like, what is this? Like, I restarted the song right after it like 3 or 4 times. And then just the music to it is super fun.
Right.
You had put something in the notes. Hold on, let me see if I can find. I'm sure you can all still see me, but I pulled up our notes again, and I was trying to find what you had put on there. You had put something on there about the Gasoline video. Damn it. Oh. Nope. Okay, so there's 2 versions of the Gasoline video, though.
Yeah, there's like a behind this. He's been putting out 2 versions of every one of them. There's like the XO version that they're labeled, where everything's all behind the scenes, and then the rest of it, the other one's the actual video.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, go back to what I had up. Sorry, got distracted. We get into, like, super dancey track. How Do I Make You Love Me it is the song that I was referring to when I said that some of these songs have super, like, upbeat sounds to them, and then they have, like, these really sad lyrics. Like Gasoline, I was trying to remember that lyric that you put on there. It's 5 a.m. and I'm a nihilist.
Yeah, that's what I know exactly what if I would have known what you were looking for.
Oh, okay.
uh, yeah, he says it's 5 a.m. I'm a nihilist. I know there's nothing after this. Is what the line is.
Which, like, when you think about that outside of the context of the song, it's super depressing. But
Yeah.
then you listen to the song and you're like, you're bopping to it like you could listen to it in your car, and then so there is this dichotomy between what you're listening to and what he's saying, and I feel like he does that on purpose so people hear the song and more people want to listen to the song, and then
Yeah.
and then later on you get it. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
a slow action pill.
Yeah. Right.
Um, Take My Breath. Right off the bat, when I heard the music, I was like, this is a retro wave song. This is a French electronic track.
They should have a warning on that song, by the way.
Why is that?
As a side note. Because the album version obviously is longer than the one that's on the radio.
Right.
Everyone's probably heard the radio one.
Yeah.
That song is a slip hazard when you're in the shower and it comes on and you're in there just jamming. If you don't got the right footing there underneath you, you're going down.
Oh yeah.
I was close.
Oh yeah.
I was close, but yeah. And the first part of that song when he first says that, "Take my breath," and it drops into that lower synth key. Yeah. I immediately thought of a home dude from Grandma's Boy that is making the game when he's sitting in the chair and he's like, that same music's playing. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should have a warning on that song for sure.
Oh, it's awesome. And as soon as I heard it, I thought of those French electronic influences that I brought up earlier. And on the playlist, I put up Thomas Barronden's Quiet Earth, which sounds significantly like the music on the track, and Robert Parker's retrowave song Running Wild, which actually Running Wild is almost identical. And
yeah.
The producer on the track for Take My Breath is his nickname is like OTP or something like that. He's a regular producer for The Weeknd now.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the electronic OPN is his name.
Okay.
And he's an American electronic artist, and you can tell he's like super influenced by like the French masters, Kavinsky, Gesaffelstein. One of the things that I found super funny about this, and I don't know if anybody thought about this, but the Peloton company has been having some really bad press lately.
Why?
Because first and foremost, people were having heart attacks on Pelotons.
Going too hard?
Well, just like not paying attention, or maybe they were pushing themselves slightly past, but they already had preconditions that weren't being monitored by the bike itself, or the people,
okay.
Things like that. And then there's been a recent reboot of Sex and the City.
Okay.
And in this recent reboot of Sex and the City, Chris Noth, who he's having problems now too. He's been called out for sexual assault. His character died on a Peloton.
Oh.
And they had not told, and they didn't tell the Peloton company that's what they were going to do on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make this a little bit worse. If you've watched a Peloton commercial lately, the song that Peloton commercials use, just bring the shake in here, I can see you. The song that they use in Peloton commercials is Take My Breath.
That's just all sorts of bad luck.
It's just, oh man, who is not paying attention?
Somebody got fired for that one.
They're
For
still
sure.
using it. Did she actually
no.
bring the shake in here?
No, she just gave a corner peek and then ducked back in
I
the
saw
shadows.
that.
Oh,
Like, I can't see her. I'm looking at the screen. But yeah, that's I absolutely adore that song because as it is a song about literally dying. We're listening to this dance track that like even you say you want to. It's about the act of letting go and letting go of your life, shuffling off this mortal coil. Which the next song, and I want to point out an irony between the next song, Sacrifice, and the song it directly samples. Thank you. I appreciate it. The song is about not having the emotional ability to give up anything for the sake of other people. For the sake of one love interest in particular. Especially, even though and despite the fact that the character that we're listening to, this Weeknd character who kind of looks like Morgan Freeman in the narration of the album, he's passing away and he's still like holding on to these material portions of life that don't matter. The song that it samples and interpolates is a straight up gospel song about giving everything up to God.
Yeah.
He's
he's out of the box.
And he's doing that right. And there's no reason and I honestly, we've been setting up this episode, doing this special for 2 weeks now. Oh, never mind. It was a spam chat. And I've been really excited. And the one thing I wanted to research when I found that was why. And there's nothing. He has been so tight-lipped about the reasoning for some of the uses and influences on the samples on this album, I couldn't find anything. Usually with Kanye West, he'll sample two things and then give you a whole storyline on why that fits into the song he used it in. Nothing. The Weeknd is leaving all interpretation up to us. And as much as I hate it, it's also kind of genius.
Yeah, like I said, when I was a fan before we started this, but then learning how deep the rabbit hole goes with this man, it's just been getting more and more interesting.
Right. And even I thought I knew a lot, and then I started doing the research for this, and I realized that I was scraping the surface. Right. I want your opinion on something that I can't quite put my finger on in this album, and it's A Tale by Quincy. Where Quincy...
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I am so confused on if it's is this his dad? Is this what is happening?
Well, it's obviously Quincy Jones, music producer Quincy Jones.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why he's telling this story, what the significance of the story of his mom being institutionalized for mental issues, his dad having to raise them but not being emotionally available, and then consistently seeing women as something not only disposable but also that become a hindrance. And that's the reason over the course of his life he had such a hard time connecting with women. I don't know if this is supposed to be the Weeknd relating to the story through the story by Quincy, which would make sense, but there's nothing else around it tying. The next song is Out of Time, and that song almost seems no, I'm about to answer my own question. Because I mean, once you start talking these things out, I guess you kind of run into... But the next song, Out of Time, sounds like a song of... I mean, the lyrics are all lyrics of regret. He is an unreliable narrator in the song "Out of Time" in the sense that he'll say, "I definitely didn't want to do this and didn't want to do this," even though when he sings "I'm out of time," those are obviously things he regrets not doing.
Right.
So I guess "A Tale by Quincy" is talking about these things that he regrets. He regrets acting that way. And then, as the character,
it might go with is when his younger Weekend days where he didn't keep any women around. He just dipped out on his mom, threw a mattress in the back of a van, and took off.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe it has something to just do with that. It's just Who knows?
Which also, have you seen the movie Uncut Gems?
I have not.
Okay. Well, okay. So there's going to be an upside and a downside to this because a lot of people loved that movie. I did not. I had a hard time with it. And it was the direction, even though I loved the Safdie brothers who were the directors of it. Later on in the album, that really maniacal voice that you hear laughing over and over. Yeah, Tara's chatting from the other room. The movie Uncut Gems will give you, if you have anxiety problems, don't watch it. Because
okay.
It really, like, I got, like, physically, I stormed out of the room because I was physically angry at characters within the first half hour of this movie. I was like, and not that, like, and it's not even that, like, oh, these characters are making stupid choices. It's, these characters are making choices that people would really make, but you know that they're not ethically correct.
Right. Like,
why are you being an asshole for no reason? The Safdie brothers directed that, and later on, when you hear the demon voice in Dawn FM, that's actually film director Josh Safdie.
Oh.
So that's another connection to The Weeknd out, because he is also in the film Uncut Gems as himself.
Oh, okay. I just had to look it up here to see. I didn't know it was that. It's that one with Adam Sandler. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
He actually, there's a whole storyline about Adam Sandler catching The Weeknd having sex with his girlfriend. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
And he's playing himself. Like, it happens at a Weeknd concert. I got a chocolate shake. That's delicious. Okay. So I noticed that there is only 2 features. Usually he doesn't have any features on his albums.
Right.
There's 2 features, and I say only, but there's 2 features on this album, which is twice as many as he usually has. We have a feature by Tyler the Creator on Here We Go Again. And Tyler's playing this very, it's almost a voice in his head that's justifying the arguing. Yeah. The song Here We Go Again is about, like, not wanting to argue anymore, not wanting to be in that continuous cycle of a relationship that seems to be going down the drain. And then you have Tyler, who seems to be justifying staying.
But you're gonna sign that prenup.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we can, this relationship can go to the next level, but I'm still gonna protect myself. Like, there's gonna be no vulnerability here. And, like, the prenup line, yeah, obviously, like, talks to the actual, or spells out, like, the actual, like, here, you have to sign this before we get married. But also, it's the symbolism of, like, protecting yourself from being vulnerable from that person still.
Yeah. It was cool to find out that one of the Beach Boys was in that song, too.
Yeah.
Super random. He's in the background of Tyler's part. When he says you're going to sign that prenup, he's just doing a little, whatever, Beach Boys cooing thing in the background.
I know, and that's another, like, vocal. That's another moment where there has to be some sort of significance to that. But because The Weeknd's been so close to the chest about the making of this album, hardly anybody knew it was coming out when it came out. And
Was it the Beach Boy they found all coked out in the swimming pool full of sand?
no,
Is he
no,
still
no.
alive?
He's
Okay.
still that's Brian Wilson. Actually, stay tuned for the show. Eventually, we're gonna probably talk about the film that was made about Brian Wilson. It's called Love and Mercy. It stars John Cusack and Paul Dano, and they play him as old and young Brian Wilson, respectively, because a lot of people don't know that he had a form of schizophrenia where he could see music, and he was using and that would be really stressful on anybody's mind. So he was using psychedelic drugs to enhance that. And then eventually when they started medicating him to bring it down so he could be a more level person, when they tried to put him on, Tara said he was under a conservatorship in the 80s, and that's what I was just getting to. Thank you. There was a doctor who had previously taken advantage of Alice Cooper and almost killed him with drugs. Like, he was medicating... Yeah, he was medicating Alice Cooper to the point everybody thought he was going to die. He did the same thing to Brian Wilson, but he, like, moved into his house. He lived with him. He had him sign all of his assets over to his control. It was bad. Like, he kept him just barely alive so that he could live off of him for 15 years.
That's crazy.
And it's this amazing movie called Love and Mercy, and no, I believe what was the name of the Beatle? That's gonna bother me because I don't think it was a. It's not like one of the ones you usually hear about, like Mike Love, Brian Wilson. Mike Love is the one who still tours the Beach Boys around. And then Mike Love does suck. We have our personal problems on the show with Mike Love. I like how the chat just, like, we're talking about things, and I like when the chat's in on it with me, because Tara just said Mike Love sucks. There's a couple tracks here that I don't know if it's purposeful, but it doesn't seem like there's any audio break between the next 4 songs. They sound like, if you're just listening to it straight through, they sound like one long song. They kind of connect musically as they go on.
Yeah.
Until we get down to I Heard You're Married, which is the one that features Lil Wayne. Wayne here, as much as for a few years I absolutely loved everything he did. There was like probably 3 albums there where I was like, oh man, he's making good stuff. Wayne doesn't sound great. I don't know. Is it just me, or does it sound like Wayne's struggling a bit?
I mean, how old is he now?
I mean, he's probably. He's not old. 41, maybe 42.
Okay.
Because he was like 18, 19 when I was in 8th grade. So he's probably in his early to mid 40s.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I used to listen to like the mixtapes and everything, and like Carter's and all that like that, and then I think after like Carter 5 or something, he just kind of slowly fell off. I
still have a cassette tape of the Hot Boys. The Block is Hot. It's just the album covers back then were just the worst. Everything looked like a counterfeit dollar bill.
Flames in the corner and like a city in the background.
They all had, like, we see like grills now, and they're like really cool looking. Grills then just looked like dentures. Especially like the New Orleans style of grill at the time, like the late 90s, early 2000s. They look really bad now. That style did not age well.
No. It's like they just took the gum tinfoil and just stuffed it in their teeth. Did it that way. They're not on the level.
I did it. I did it in school.
Right? Same. Everybody did that shit in like middle school.
Any thought? Do you have any thoughts about these songs between Here We Go Again and I Heard You're Married?
Let's see here. Starry Eyes was one that came off as another one of that was kind of in a similar area as that My Dear Melancholy. Mm-hmm. How about how he had starry eyes back, when he first met this person, and now it's not the same. That was the one that really stood out. I really, on this album, I really enjoyed the radio buffers.
I
they have
adore them because the things he say if anybody, and a lot of young people wouldn't even understand them. There's a lot of people younger than us that wouldn't even understand why those
are the best.
Right.
They didn't sit there at their radio with a cassette waiting for your song to come on so you can record that shit. They didn't do that.
Well, especially because it sounds so much like when we were young, there's this thing that young people now wouldn't understand called grown folks music. Like, it's music that, like, if you were riding in the car with your friend's parents, that's the station they were listening to.
Or the station they have on at, like, the dentist.
Yeah.
You're just, like, laying in the chair. It's like the same radio station, kind of style radio station my wife listens to. And she's like, I like this music. I'm like, the buffers, that's all I can think of is the dentist office. And I'm like, yeah.
But, like, that classic old R&B, like, easy listening style music between, like, that comes on either side of those buffers.
Yeah.
Even like the 103.5 Dawn FM, which actually 103.5 we found out in our research is an actual Toronto radio station. It's just not called Dawn FM.
Right on.
It's the actual like hip hop station in Toronto.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but it's just
not. They're gonna change their name now. Just be like free advertisement.
Do a promotional weekend. Oh, that joke works on 2 levels. I didn't even realize that. But
maybe.
One of the things I wanted to point out about Every Angel is Terrifying is this aspect of what the public thinks something's supposed to look like and what the reality of it looking like is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because when, in a general sense, you hear about angels, it's blonde white dudes playing harps with eagle wings. But then when you read the Bible and you find out what angels actually looked like, they look like 100 wheels spinning centrically, and every wheel has 1,000 eyes on it. The angels are not attractive beings in the Bible. They're scary. So that song and the lyrics in it really do exemplify this. Okay, everybody thinks this is what this is supposed to be. How I'm supposed to act, how I'm supposed to handle these situations, what I'm supposed to sound like. And this is the reality of what I've been trying to do. And even just the name of the song, Every Angel is Terrifying. It's not just him. Every artist has this side that they actually want you to see, but they can't because it's not what you want to see. Or that's not what the public wants to see.
Right. I think there was something I saw with John Mayer where he was talking about that, where he made a song that was, this long, and by the time they got done chopping what they wanted out of it, it was this long, and it wasn't as much as what he wanted to throw in there with, like, guitar solos and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're under the control of the corporations at certain points here and there,
Right.
so they can't really have any say over it.
My sister is a giant Taylor Swift fan, huge. I could care less one way or another, but she actually had said to me, "I just want you to listen to this one album. Like, I don't care if you just listen through it once. If you hate it, just tell me you hate it." She had made, which I don't know how many of our viewers are new viewers. I want to thank any new viewers that came to watch you, but I play Americana music, what most people would call like bluegrass, but
Yeah.
and it's an Americana album. It's a bluegrass album, and the lyrics are written in a very bluegrass way. And I was like, okay, yeah, I like that better than other Taylor Swift stuff. Why were you so pushy about it? And she said because she technically changed her name. She put a technical extra space between Taylor and Swift and the contract to make that album because her other record company didn't want her to make it.
Oh, okay.
So she legally changed her name. She just put 2 spaces between Taylor and Swift instead of 1 so that she could make this album. And I was like, actually, I kind of dig that. Respect a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
I'll give credit.
Loophole.
Yeah, I'll give credit where credit's due.
Somebody got paid a hell of a lot of money, hit that space bar twice. That's for sure.
Hi, Rachel. Rachel says hi in the chat.
She's also in the other room.
At least we know our significant others are watching. So, I heard you were married, but another song that really struck me. Okay, so we've been talking about the sound, the 80s sound of this album, and then we get to the song Less Than Zero. Are you familiar with the film Less Than Zero?
I am not.
I'm trying to remember who the principal, the main actor in the film Less Than Zero was a very young Robert Downey Jr. And at the time he was making the film that is about 3, rich LA late teen, early 20s, who are all having a hard time with alcohol and cocaine. Robert Downey Jr. was having a hard time with alcohol and cocaine. And the song kind of... Oh, it was 79. Oh, it was 87. I was like, why did I see a 7? Okay. It's Robert Downey Jr., Andrew McCarthy, and... Oh, Jamie Gertz. So, are you, the Lost Boys? The girlfriend in the Lost Boys?
Okay.
That's Jamie Gertz.
Okay.
The song kind of gives that same... Yeah, star. Thank you, Tara. The song gives that same feel, where yes, I'm going to play up these. In my music, I talk about all these things that I do. Like the Hills, I only call you when it's 5 a.m. and often I do this every night. But the problem with that, and you all go, yay, I love this song. The problem with that is, in real life, I only call the girl I actually like after 5 a.m., and I party like that every night, and it's not healthy. And I know it. So, while you're celebrating these things that I do, I am wishing I didn't do them.
He won a Kids' Choice Award for a song about doing coke. People don't pay attention to nothing.
The irony, right? It's the irony of it's like the looking past the reality of the song for our own enjoyment, and it's almost like he's kind of like putting the reality of that in our face. You know what I mean? Like, look, like the song Less Than Zero is basically saying, I'm telling you I do all these things why don't you believe me? And like
Right.
some of this is an actual cry for help. Like you said about My Dear Melancholy, a lot of that EP is an actual cry for help. Like he's and then I mean he does have a good group of artists around him. There was a time way back when only a few people knew who The Weeknd was, that Drake's Take Care album came out, which is one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I truly feel like that album set a lot of the emotional understanding that our generation has in relationships.
Right.
And The Weeknd wrote the whole album. And I didn't realize it until like 2 years
I
later.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Anytime you hear Drake like singing a little bit or slowly, he's not rapping, The Weeknd wrote it.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Which most people, like, that album was the first time that most people were exposed to The Weeknd because he's on the song Crew Love. Which is a banger. If you're younger or you're not a big hip hop fan and you just go listen to the song Crew Love off Drake's Take Care album, still slaps. It's what, 16? No. Like 14 years old now. That's crazy. That's crazy. But a lot of people, that's the first time they'd heard of The Weeknd because he was on a Drake album that he actually wrote. But he used to have Drake and E12, which is one of the producers that a lot of those EXO guys work with. He's done some work with like the producers that work a lot with Childish Gambino.
Also a fave.
Oh my god, isn't he great? Like anything he does. But
which is fun because I was a fan of him when he was on Community before he turned into a rapper.
Oh, which is his first album came out before Community did. The Camp album.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Camp came out right about the same time as the second season. So
okay.
He technically probably made both at the same time.
Take Care came out in 2011.
Okay. So, yeah, 14 years ago. Well, no, that's more than that. 11 years ago.
Right.
Math, it's been a long day. Don't judge me. But I feel like if we'd have, because like we're this isn't the kind of show to like dig into every word of every lyric. I just like to pull out, like, it would be I thought it would be so cool to look at the themes of some of these songs and where the inspirations came from.
Right.
And kind of put them out in the open, because when an album like this comes out, everybody goes, "Oh, isn't it awesome?" And that's as far as they think about it. And it's such a bummer because there's so much that went into making just the sound and this landscape that he built. One of my favorite parts of doing the research for this, by the way, everybody, was the way that I type and articulate things, like in data shares and things like that. I guess I'm a little long-winded, and Eric had said something to the effect of, "Man, I feel like I need to study before I do the show."
Oh, yeah. I was like, shit. I felt like I was back in college again. I'm like I literally have like side notes just scribbled on a piece of paper that I was like reading, and I'm like scribbling random shit down at the same time. It's like, yeah. But
yeah, this is...
Hopefully we're good. I usually freeze on tests.
No, you're like that. I've been having a lot of fun. One of the things I did want to ask you is, at the end of the playlist I put these 3 Kavinsky songs, and they all, like I said, kind of feel like they belong on the album, even though they came out. Kavinsky's one great only album that he made for himself came out in 2010, and it was called Night Call, which a lot of people would know the song Night Call if you've seen the 2011 film Drive with Ryan Gosling. It's one of the first songs you hear in the movie, and it's just this really beautiful... it's hard to explain. Okay, so that wasn't a joke, because that's a lyric in the song. I didn't mean to say that. It just came out correctly. And then Road Game, which is the last one I put on, is this really fast... It's what you would call outrun music. It sounds like you're driving a car really fast. I wanted to know what you thought of those.
The Road Game one is gonna stick out to me because it was a few days after you put this up, and I was listening to it in the car, like, because I had headphones. It's illegal, but I had headphones in while I was driving because I don't have fancy Bluetooth or anything. Anyway, the train over here sometimes stops on Center Avenue on my side of the town and just blocks the whole road off. It happened to my wife the other night, and so I literally went into straight baby driver mode and just cut on a side road, and I just was whipping down side streets, and I had that song going, so it worked perfectly. So I can see where you get the fast driving thing out of it. So that was probably my favorite one out of all that one, just because it kind of was working with what was going on, trying to get around that train.
I love outrun music. There's actually a whole genre that sounds like that. I drive a 1999 Honda Civic.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a stick shift. But you put some...
you could whip for sure in that thing with the stick then.
Yeah. You put some outrun music on in that little roller skate with a stick shift. Woo! Especially with some snow on the ground, I'm turning sideways. I'm pulling corners like this.
Drifting into that Arby's drive-through.
Yeah. Dude, that thing is a horseshoe. I could just in and out. Throw the bag. So I think we're gonna leave it right here. Is there any final thoughts you wanted to put out there or anything else?
Just the Phantom of Regret thing was dope. I thought the spoken word poem by Jim Carrey.
Yo, I totally skipped over it. I appreciate you going backwards. Good. Please go into it a little deeper if you can.
Oh, I just thought it was really cool, especially after I heard it before, and then they have that feature on Spotify where you can actually the lyrics follow along with the song. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
The Genius.
So I was listening to the album doing it that way, so I was going along. I'm just a fan of lyrics and poems in general, but then to later find out that it was Jim Carrey, just added to it more, just because he's a crazy dude. So it was just a thing I really enjoyed, was all.
Have you seen the documentary Jim and Andy?
I have, where he went crazy, turning himself in. Yeah.
Isn't that scary? Like, I watched that with my sister, and my sister's significantly younger than I am. She's 15 years younger than I am, but she's really intelligent in the sense that she's interested in things like that. And we're watching it, and I realized she was crying because it scared her that could actually happen to somebody.
Yeah.
Where they just completely forget who they are and have been acting so long that they become someone else.
Isn't that what they said about Heath Ledger too, and the whole Joker thing?
Right. It's just more that, I mean, yes, but
not to that extent.
Right. Not to that extent. Yeah. Sometimes it just brings on like depression. It's also what happened to oh shoot. There's another actor who was doing his version of Death of a Salesman on stage, and because it is such a tragic role, he sunk into a depression and ended up passing away due to how he was taking care of himself. Philip Seymour Hoffman also passed away from that same malady that some actors can get, where you just sink too far deep into a character. It's an insane thing. It's insane to think that a human being can lose who they are in someone else.
I mean, Jim Carrey is half crazy anyway, so I can just see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That
movie's a trip.
Anybody who ever did, who ever could possibly think of Fire Marshal Bill,
right?
I can't do the thing anymore.
Something.
If I do the Fire Marshal Bill thing now, you can't see it because my stash comes down too far, so you can't see the top teeth.
When he does that thing,
yeah. I used to In Living Color was the best thing ever.
Have it on box set.
No way. Get the fuck out of here. That would be great.
Like forever ago. I have to find it, but yeah, I have like a half a season or something. Yeah.
That's so cool. And then if you watch like the first or second season, he's actually credited as James Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Phantom of Regret, the Phantom of Regret is this really cool spoken word. It's almost like a word painting, because when he says up, his inflection goes up. When he says down, his inflection goes down. And in actual music, especially opera, when the words of what you're saying follow what your voice is doing, it's called word painting. A lot of, like, most recently, one of the big people who's been noted for word painting has been Mac Miller on things like the Circles album that came out after his passing. I don't know if anybody saw it yesterday, but I was wearing my Mac shirt that Tara got me for Christmas.
Is that what that was?
Mm-hmm. That was
I saw it, but
it was the G-Wagon.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And he's recently been really noted. If you've never heard of the Dissect podcast, he does what we're doing right now, only he goes literally song for song, word for word, lyric for lyric through
like 6 hours long.
It's his episodes are only a half hour each because he only does one song at a time.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a half hour, 45 minutes. But he has 7 seasons. He's done like every Kendrick album, almost every Kanye album, 2 Mac Miller albums, Flower Boy, both Frank Ocean albums. And he, down to the timestamp of when things happen. I didn't realize his name is Cole Kushner, and he has a doctorate in musical theory, and he uses it to make this where he breaks down the depth of hip hop albums and how deep they can really go. Things that nobody would have ever thought of other than the artist. If you ever listen to Frank Ocean's Channel Orange,
yeah.
In the song Pyramids, that weird break where it almost turns into like an electro track?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
At the silence before that music starts, not only is it the exact middle of the song Pyramids, so the song itself is 10 minutes and 10 seconds long or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
11 minutes long. Not only is the timestamp of the silence right there at 5 minutes and 55 seconds, so the exact center of the song, but if you look at the entire runtime of the album, that silence in the song Pyramids is the exact center of the runtime of the album.
So what you're saying is that would be the point in which your Walkman would click and you'd have to flip the tape.
Well, that was to Frank Ocean, that's the point where, okay, I've been building up this story of Channel Orange and the fact that this is a little boy watching TV channels he's not supposed to watch. Now we're going to go into, now it's an adult and those societal things that have gone into his head have affected him.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I listened to that. I might have to check it out again. Buddy of mine, I think, just got it on vinyl, so I have to check that out. Maybe.
Dude, if I could find Channel Orange on vinyl, because we have a significant vinyl collection here. I finally got my first Mac on vinyl. I found Good AM on vinyl, and that was cool. I think I have a Run the Jewels. And then for Christmas we finally got a record player here. So
she had records before the record player.
Well, she has one at her apartment also, because she still has her own place. But we didn't have one here. So now we have one here, and we can actually listen to our records. So that's cool. All right, so some shout-outs. 989. One of the cool things is that we met at a New Year's Eve party that ended up being like having people from 3 of the major podcasts in the area all at one party. There was you and Rachel, me and Tara, and then Matt and Mark.
Yeah.
And it was like the 9-8
Matt.
Huh?
It's a pale face Matt when he ended up on the floor.
Did you see the picture? Did you see the pictures they took?
Yeah.
Oh, they're so.
I was one of the. I edited one of the things.
Oh yeah, the album cover.
Yes.
If you're watching, and you came here to see Eric, please like, subscribe, click the little bell, comment. If you know where the studio is, you can just yell at the windows. Something. Anything would help the show.
Buy bits. Buy bits. I don't know how bits work, but buy them.
Honest to God, I've been on Twitch for a few years. I don't even know how. They're like this mythical. It's just like, ooh, bits. Bitcoin. Ooh, magic. Sell an NFT and buy bits. I don't know how either of those things work.
They're gonna send you a JPEG and some Legos.
That's fantastic. Which actually, the bits widget that I put up is kind of cool. It's a little popcorn box, popping corn. I thought it was clever. But nobody
makes sense,
right? It's never gonna happen. But I thought it was clever.
Right.
So, subscribe. What else can they do? Follow. We're available.
Follow Squawking Dead. Follow Maddie Ice and the Marky Mark podcast. They're actually about to be live here in about
10 minutes,
15 minutes or so.
Yes,
at the arcade in our town. Squawking Dead, like I said earlier, but in case you missed it, they're doing a charity thing in so many days. You can follow them on Instagram. You can follow my wife at CosmoMom09. You can check out Blazy Gardner. She's another one. And I think that's mine. I can't remember my Instagram thing because I have way too many random spaces in the middle, but I don't really post anything interesting anyway.
Right.
So
I barely post on my. I had one cool post on my Instagram in like the past 2 years.
Was it food?
No, it was food related.
See, it's normally
okay. So there's the fancy restaurant My Table on Center. Well, last year they had the street shut down, and they had that couch right in the middle of Center Street where if you sat on it, you were looking at the traffic coming right at you. So I took Dyson, and me and Dyson sat on that couch and ate dinner. I got a burger and fries, and they sell like Kraft Pop, and he was sitting like between my legs, and he and I were looking straight down Center Avenue with all the cars coming at us. So if I took my phone and went like this, like you saw him, and then the food, and then, like, the cars coming straight at us. It was a really cool video. I was proud of myself, because I don't make things like that. But I don't know if Tara heard it earlier, but he kept the pink headphones on so that there was still some pink in the show.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable.
The show would be lost without it.
Right.
Thank you for... She says yay. Thank you I appreciate your help. It was so cool to have you as like our first guest on the show ever.
Oh, thanks for letting me on here, dude.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Like I said, it's been fun sharing music. Uh, I apologize now that you're probably gonna get random music videos and stuff
Hit me up
throughout time.
whenever. I'm always looking for new. I get bored of the music I've been listening to so quick. Like I can listen to something a couple times and then
Yeah,
I have to move on cuz okay, I got that. Now what else is new? So I'm
right.
constantly looking for new stuff. So hit me up whenever.
Yeah,
Um
like I my Spotify is always usually just on complete randomness, especially if I'm like playing video games and like doing the pinball challenges that Matt and Mark got going on or whatever. I'll just have music on in the background. So
So are
yeah,
they are they are live from like Nudged Underground tonight?
yeah,
That's
yeah. They're
crazy.
supposed to start. They're supposed to start at 10. They'll be on. They'll probably be on later. I don't know, but usually around
Right.
that window. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Squawking Dead, like and follow. Adopt, don't shop. Hold on. What were Tara's ones? Have a sparkling week. Buy a carbon monoxide detector. Think pink. Haha, I remembered them all. Thank you, Eric. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Okay. Sweet.